Hello, my name is Pietra and welcome to my Scientific Communication Assessment for HBS 202 Physiology Advanced Systems. My presentation will cover the central nervous system topics. I will be touching on the role of neurotransmitters in the body, GABA, a neurotransmitter we will be focusing on, neuron mechanisms for excitability and inhibitory responses, as in drugs and alcohol effects on the CNS, the role of chloride ions in skeletal muscle, and lastly, channelopathies, in this case, a disorder named myotonic congenita. Neurotransmitters we know from our studies are chemicals in the brain. These chemicals transmit signals across a synapse to a receptor. These effects can be classed into two groups of excitatory or inhibitory. There are many types of neurotransmitters and they act all on target cells according to their function and their roles in the body. This communication between the synapse and receptors on the target cells will stimulate an excitatory or inhibitory response in the body. There are many types and some common types over here: acetylcholine, glycine, glutamate, dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, histamine, and GABA. So GABA is an important inhibitory neurotransmitter that we will focus on today. It acts on target cells by opening chloride channels, which are an electronegative ion, which helps stabilize the cell's electrical charge. This is especially important in the role of skeletal muscle contraction, where chloride channels are found in abundance. The opening of chloride channels act as inhibitory response on the target cell. Drugs like benzodiazepines are used to also act on and reduce neuron excitability, which is clinically useful. By the influx of chloride ions, this drug can increase hyperpolarization of the cell, which decreases the excitability further, as seen in more detail on the next slide. So we know GABA has effects on neuron excitability by increasing chloride channels opening on the cell. Benzodiazepines directly act on GABA receptors, increasing chloride channels further. This increase of chloride ion channels creates the hyperpolarization of the cell. This is in strength, as in this category of drugs, sleeping aids, alcohol, Valium, can have an effect on coordination, motor control, and slurred speech. These types of drugs bind to the GABA receptors and in small amounts have an effect for someone to feel more relaxed and fall asleep. Clinical use for these drugs are prescribed for general anxiety, panic disorders, and OCD, where alcohol can have a similar effect and usually is self-medicated. Due to the nature of these drugs, you can see that a mixture together could certainly be lethal and end in fatality. Alcohol alone can increase chloride uptake by as much as 260%, as reactions can result in the variability of doses. Unfortunately, it is commonly an accidental overdose. As mentioned, chloride is an electronegative ion that regulates neuron excitability and abundantly found in muscle cells. It is involved in the normal function of muscle contraction by helping stabilize the cell's electrical charge. It helps the muscles from performing abnormally. Channelopathies, as in myotonia congenita, this is a channel defect. There are many defects resulting in disorders, and this is one of them. This disorder has a reduction in chloride ion channels. The influx of chloride ions to stabilize the cell is decreased, which results in a prolonged muscle contraction, depolarization of the cell. This repetitive depolarization without the stabilization of chloride is seen as muscle stiffness, and you can see this as in the fainting goat phenomenon. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.